Everybody off the road, because I'm now on it.
Arriving at Retrospect. Retrospect Station. Doors will open on the left.
Welcome back, passengers, to Retrospect Station, the show where I show you just how colorful life can be. I'm your host, Elizabeth Dean, and last time, I'm not going to say last week, because I don't know why I do this to myself and to you. Last time, we talked about itchy. And by that I mean I'm always very, very, very itchy. Recently did a whole bunch of laundry. I'm going to be less itchy for like the next 3-4 days, and then I'm going to be excruciatingly itchy again. Just how it goes. Like, nobody does their bedsheet laundry every 3 days. That's insane. People do it like once a week, or maybe even once every 2 weeks, depending on who you are as a person and how stinky you get. I will be itchy. I don't know if this is going to come through on the microphone, but the sound room next to me is doing lovely music. However, the sound rooms are not fully proofed in certain places, so it's bleeding over. Whether or not noise cancellation will remove that is entirely up to the machines. So, this episode, I want to talk about how as I've been saying it, I 2'd my G. Which sounds unhinged to phrase it that way, because who says it that way? I say it that way. I 2'd my G. And what I mean by that is I got my G2 license. I got it on July 30th, last week Wednesday. Well, for me, recording this right now, it's last week Wednesday. God knows when you're going to get this episode. I've been really tired recently. Tired because drive. Tired because I started a new project that I'm not saying what it is just yet. But it's a doozy. It's been taking some toll on me. Submitted a bunch of stuff to a bunch of literary journals. Am in the process of editing some for a literary journal. I've been exhausted. Got a little sick. The wildfire smoke got to me and I got very congested. So whenever you get this episode is when you get this episode. But I wanted to, not a long episode, but I wanted to kind of like just go over my experience of how it was to get all the way to getting my G2. Because it was a bit of an experience. Nothing too out of the ordinary, mind you, but something atypical. I just want to interject before I start. Next week's episode is going to be, I'm figuring it out. Or maybe I missed last week, so this is last week's, and I'm making a new episode. So, hi, this episode was meant to be July 31st. Or July 30th. July 30th. And this, when I say next week, I mean August the 6th's intended episode, which is not going to be August the 6th, but you know what? We're here, so we do it anyway. Next week, just prepare yourself next episode. There's not going to be a word of the week, because there's just going to be a lot of words. And, instead of me forcing a word of the week on you then and kind of cutting in the middle of what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through it, because there will be plenty of words, and I'm going to be spending most of that episode kind of just going over what it is I am reading to you. I'm going to be reading to you something that I have very strong opinions about, because I've recently taken up reading certain texts, and I feel quite strongly about this one. So this is a little teaser. That's what next episode is about. Brace yourself. Arm yourself with a dictionary between then and now. A dictionary that you can rely on. There will be some words. I'll help, but there will be some words. This week's episode, though, me, drive, wheel, vroom, yes. I can drive now. Legally, I am allowed to get in a car and drive myself anywhere in Ontario by myself. I don't need a licensed driver in the seat with me. I don't need an adult. I'm a big grown up now. Training wheels are off. Not the cars have training wheels anyway. The licensed driver sitting in the passenger seat with you at G1 is basically your training wheel. And all they can do is hope and advise. But no more training wheels, as the idiom goes, metaphor, what do you call it? Imagery? No more training wheels, as the phrasing goes. I drive. Me, vroom, yes. So the process of this, I call it a process because when did I get my G1? Okay, let's start with this. I just got my G2 last week, July 30th. I got my G2 July 30th. And I am 27 years old. That is not typical. That is not typical in this province. In this province, the way that our driving stuff works, our licensing system works, drive car till license have. I'm just going to say it that way. And basically, there are rules for each level of licensing. We have different levels of licensing to drive your regular old car. Vroom. I'm going to say vroom a lot in this episode, I think. Maybe I'll name this episode Vroom. I'm going to name this episode Vroom. If you're watching this, you will have already seen I named this episode Vroom. Okay. Our licensing system is G1, G2, G. G is the last. Once you get G, you get to have it. You don't have to renew your ability to have it or anything, which I personally have a vendetta against. I think people should absolutely be put to redrive the test once every, 15 years, 10 years. Lots can change. You can go blind and just hang on to your license and be driving like a maniac. You can become unreliable as a person. You can forget things. You should be tested, I think. But okay, so here's the sitch. When you turn 16 in Ontario, you are allowed to begin the process of learning and licensing to drive. And the goal with that is to have you be able to be a licensed driver in full with a G license by the time you turn 18. That was the goal of how it is arranged. So at 16, you're allowed to go get a G1 license. I didn't do that. It costs money, and this was not a feasible thing at the time. Let's just put it that way. I had done a bunch of applications to university coming up. I think when I was turning 7. Yeah, no, I was a year behind everybody in school. I shouldn't say that. I was a year ahead of everybody in school. I was younger than everybody. That's how I'll phrase it. So that was my grade 12 year. 16 turning 17, I was dealing with a bunch of university applications, and driving and a G1 was not anywhere on that list. I was also prepping to go leave and go to Ottawa and move in, and that was not on the financials at that point. So I didn't get my G1 at 16 like a lot of my peers did, but what you do is you go to the drive test. There's a bunch of them. There's one per city, basically. You go to the drive test, and you first have to pass a knowledge test. It is a multiple choice test with two halves. One is all the road signs, and one is how to not be insane on the road. Literally the rules of the road. And what are you not supposed to do? What are you supposed to do in this scenario? Blah, 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 blah. There's a manual, a handbook one can borrow or buy or read for free on the Ontario website. Just saying, you don't have to buy it. You can read it for free. But licensing is a costly thing to do, like any license acquisition. So you go, after you've reviewed your knowledge that you should have about the basic rules and functioning of the road, you go and I always say you go write your knowledge test, and that's because how my mom said it to me all those years. And that's because for her, she wrote her knowledge test. It was a written thing when she did it in I won't say when, but this is pre-computers in everyone's home. So, but you go, it's on a screen. It's a touch screen. You just go do it. And then if you pass it, you get your G1 license. They give you a piece of paper, they take your picture, and then like a couple of weeks later in the mail, you get the card with your picture, and yay. You get restrictions on you. You're not allowed to have any blood in your alcohol at all while driving. Like, it has to be a complete zero, not even like 0.01 or like a little squidge, like none, zero. The breathalyzer has got to read 0. And that is because you are new. Ain't no way you should be driving intoxicated or under the influence of anything, because we don't understand this, but even a small amount does actually impair your reflexes. The thing is that if you are a fully like licensed, complete G experienced driver by this point, it doesn't affect your typical driving skills as much. And I say that really reservedly because I'm a firm believer that if you have a blood alcohol level, you shouldn't be driving. Period. Like, you're not going to focus. There's going to be an aspect of you not focusing. So the standard drink takes 2 hours to clear your blood entirely, like properly metabolize, and for you to be okay again. Standard drink is 6 ounces, wine, or like a typical can of beer, or I forget. Oh no, my smart serve knowledge is failing me. A shot, basically, of alcohol is a standard drink. So one of those takes 2 hours to metabolize out of your system on average. If you are smaller and bigger, like you have more fat on your body, it's going to take longer. So you're not allowed to do that. No blood alcohol whatsoever at a G1 level. The other thing you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to drive between midnight and 5. Like, ever. Period. Nothing. Nada. And that is mainly because it's hard. Visibility is hard at night for most. Your reaction time is affected, and typically you're sleepy. Like, it's dark. Your brain is responding to the darkness and producing melatonin. And so your judgment is also impaired just by your regular bodily physiology. So not a good time to drive. You would think it would be, because the roads are empty, great time to practice, but you won't see animals crossing, people randomly running across the road, because people do that. Like, you're not going to have the same awareness to be the same awareness to respond in a timely fashion to threats on the road. So you're not allowed to drive between 12 and 5 a.m. You're supposed to hold on to a G1 for at least 8 months if you go to driving school. If you don't go to driving school, you should hold on to it for 12 months. Before that time, you are literally not allowed to go and get your G2. You're not allowed to go do the test at all, no matter how much you think you're confident. No. And this is where my journey comes in a little bit. I was so confident in myself when I was 19? I was 19. I was super confident in myself at 19 because I got off to university. I'd been an adult for a couple years now and like living by myself, and I felt very confident. And then I left school for a bit. I don't even think I got into this in my what really happened to me in Ottawa episode. Well, the stories will come as they come. Basically, I left school in the beginning of my 3rd year, around November. And somewhere in January, I believe it actually was January the 4th or 3rd, I bussed myself down to the drive test center in, what was it, Nepean? Canada? It was the faraway one. I think it might have been the only one at the time that was open. And I wrote the knowledge test, well, on a computer, but I did the knowledge test. I got my G1 license. I was super duper happy. And if I can find a picture of it, I'll put it up. So, what happened next? I held on to that license, fully intending to go to driving school to learn. Why, you may ask? Why? Because sometimes in life it is very difficult to learn certain skills from your parents. Sometimes your parents are just not emotionally or psychologically disposed to being successful teachers of certain skills. This was one of those cases where neither parent was going to particularly be able to bring me to the level of prepared driver in order to be licensed. So we all resolved I would eventually go to driving school. Driving school costs money, as did getting the G1 license, which costs nearly $200. Driving school, typically, depending on who you go to, mine costs about $1,000, a little over $1,000, maybe $1,200 in total for the whole course, and using the instructor's card to do my my road test and all of that. Some schools are more expensive. Some are far less expensive. I went to a ministry-approved standard one, the one where the ministry says, yep, this is in line with what we would like our standards to be. And the reason I picked to do that is if you go to one of the ministry-approved, ordained schools. It's not that the ministry opens them or anything. It's just the ministry says, yep, you check all the boxes of what we need an official driving program to do in order for you to get special certification saying that you did that you can then use to give to an auto insurance company, and they will reduce the cost of your insurance accordingly because you have been trained professionally to drive as opposed to somebody, like an amateur trainer training you. So I went to one of those. Not in 2017 when I was 19 though. Oh no, sorry. I got my G1 in 2018 when I was 19. And I held on to that little license for 5 years. So the way the G1 works is that after 5 years of holding on to it, it just flat expires. Like if you let it expire and lapse like that, well, you don't even get to renew it. If 5 years are up and you haven't gone to do your G2, you're going to have to relicense a G1 all over again. The same is true for G2. If you don't do your test to get from G2 to G within 5 years, you have to start back at G1 because they're like, hey, what the hell? Why is it taking you so long to figure out how to drive? You probably don't know what you're doing. You're going back to square one. And also because it's probably a money grab for the province. But that's what happened. So 2018, I get my license. 2023, I lose my license. Not because of anything, but just because it expires and you can't renew a G1. How did that happen? Well, now let's see. 2018, I was not making nearly enough money to supply myself a driving school program. Not to mention that, and this is a story for another time, I didn't stay in Ottawa past August. Not really even. Yeah, August that year. And it wasn't feasible between everything that was happening financially for me and just logistically for me. That wasn't happening. So I didn't learn how to drive that year. Went home. Like I said, not learning from my parents. That was not happening. Not compatible. Was not going to work out very well. But additionally, still, there were no funds to send me just suddenly $1,200. Okay, go to driving school. Like, I was on loans for school. And my parents were also helping with school. And that's a money sink in itself. Plus, I think my sibling was about to go off to school soon. So, like, there were other more prioritized costs upcoming. There was no driving school. So that was a year I was home, took a break. Again, story for another time. But no driving school. Went back to university in 2019. You hear the year. You know what's coming. Yeah, that's right. I went to school. I was going back for computer science. I was doing my best. I didn't really have the funds to go to driving school. Didn't really have the time it to go to driving school. I was very swamped. So it wasn't happening. I thought, it'll be a summer thing. Well, 2019 became 2020 and we all know what happened in 2020. So, that was a no. And not only did I not go to driving school because, again, I'm not working. No one was working. There was nothing happening. So how am I paying for driving school? How was anyone paying for any driving school? That's not happening at all. But also, who's doing driving school? We were under quarantine. Nothing is happening. So, no driving school. And again, this is not one of those things, personally, I was able to learn from my parents. They're not bad drivers, but some things one does not know how to teach effectively. There are things I do not know how to teach effectively, so I don't do that. Similarly, this was not one of those things I could learn effectively from them, nor could they necessarily teach me effectively for me. Because they're not professionals. And in this case, I kind of needed a professional. Also, my confidence about driving was rock bottom. So that's just, at that point, I recommend driving school. It really, really, really just clears your confidence completely. Okay. So the years passed. 2021, 2022, 2023. Again, not really funds for going to driving school. I got a part-time job, but again, not enough. So, and the economy horrifically changed after the one was added at the end of 2020 to become 2021, and the bread skyrocketed in price, and the eggs became a luxury item, which I don't even buy eggs, but that was just telling us something. Definitely driving school, the price went up. I think it was way cheaper beforehand. The $1,200 I'm quoting is what I paid in 2024. Like, yikes. So when it expired in 2023, I was like, I don't want to be licenseless. This is not a good thing. I shouldn't be licenseless. I was thinking about the chronology of events. When it expired in 2023, I don't remember what point it expired in 2023, but it did, and I went and I redid the knowledge test, and what have you. Like I went back, I did this. I refreshed my knowledge for the knowledge test. Sorry, I'm very tired, so if I look like I'm spacing out, that's why. I did my knowledge test, got back my license. Everything hunky-dory. And then I settled. I was like, no, I'm going to do this. So there was a point where I had a full-time job in what year? What year was it? 2024. Yeah, 2024. April 2024. And I started making a proper amount of money that I could actually put towards driving school. So I did. So the school I picked is in Oakville, but they've got branches in 20 different cities. So pick your poison, whichever one works best for you. Some schools have simulators and whatever. This guy did. They didn't. I didn't particularly need it. If you feel like you need certain tools to be successful in this, go chase down those tools. I can only speak from my experience. I will say this. Young Drivers of Canada used to have a good rep. Step one was learning that they don't have any physical locations anymore. At all. There's no office. There's no physical human being to talk to. They operate their school entirely online. There is not one single office. And when you call them, it goes to a call center in buttfuck Toronto. They're so unbelievably strict about the classroom time, signing in or whatever, that I signed in I think 15 minutes late for one of the classes and straight up said like, can I reschedule this class if need be or whatever. I was late. Like I had an appointment to be at and it went later than I wanted it to. I also misread the schedule. So I thought there was time. There was not. And he just very coldly says, no, you have to reschedule the entire course again. Like you have to pay, I think like a $200 and something late fee. And then reschedule the whole course again for like the dates that I was going to take. And I was like, this is unreasonable. What on earth do you mean? And to be fair, it wasn't even possible to like, they were like, you have to get on the phone and reschedule. I got on the phone. I shit you not. I was on the phone for 3.5 hours and still no one picked up. So do you know who I called? I called the accounting department and asked them for my money back. No, I didn't. I called the sales department. That's who I called. I called the sales department. Guess you picked up within like 10 minutes. The sales department. But the student service department didn't pick up for 3.5 hours. Wow, look at that. That's like, it almost tells you what their priorities are as a business. Yeah, we asked her about that and she's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have the power to do that. We are just a call center. But yeah, you will have to reschedule. Also, you will have to like, once you're done your classes, you will have to like manually contact the school to set up your driving lesson schedule. And you'd have to email them and it could take like several weeks before you get an answer. Like our wait time for that could be pretty long, like at least like 6 weeks. And I'm like, sorry, I beg your fucking pardon. And needless to say, mind you, this was like the most expensive driving school on the roster of Ontario driving schools that I saw. And it was like boasting super duper defensive driving skills and this and that, like the best rated school in the country. And yeah, that was before COVID happened and they closed all of their physical locations. And then kept them closed after COVID to save money, I suppose. Yeah. So we emailed the accounting. We emailed the customer service department. Didn't get back to me for like days. So I emailed the accounting department and I think I asked her on the phone too. I was like, great. How long of a wait is it to get through to your accounting department? And she was like, oh, that they would respond to you probably within the week. Yeah, it's just that like we get so much requests for like from the students for bookings and this and that they're a little swamped, but accounting definitely like you'll be able to get through to them. And I'm like, oh, so you've staffed the people who are dealing with the money because that's like the most important part of your business now. That's funny. So I emailed the accounting. I was like, I want my money back. Thank you. But like, if I have to pay whatever administrative fees or like, they were like, there's an administrative fee for canceling. And I was like, great. Whatever I am owing you per policy, you can have me pay that. Thanks. But I would like all of my money back. And mind you, you had to upfront pay all of the $1,000 plus of money. And I'm like, kindly give me that back. I will not be doing business here. So they did. I took my money to the school that my best friend went to. I don't know why I didn't follow her advice in the first place. I have a bad habit of doing that. If you are probably listening to this one, I'm so sorry. I should listen to you a lot more often, and I'm learning that as the years go on, and I'm trying that as the years go on. But I went to Ultimate Drivers, the one in Oakville, because that's where she went, and she had a good experience with her instructors, and like, okay. I may be overstating or advocating. I don't know. She was fine with it. And she is an excellent driver. So, like, she scares me with the way she's capable of driving in the condition she could be capable of driving. And nothing, like, illegal. But she's really good at balancing road and, like, so many other things that could potentially distract a new driver. She's really good at it. She's been driving for a long time. So yeah, I went there. Had the best time trying to get my hands on a driving instructor. So I did the classes. The classes were they were nice, easygoing. They weren't so obliteratively obsessively strict about the class timings, because if you were late and you had to miss a class, they would be like, you can sit in on another class with like the other teacher. It's the same class. Just sit in, or like come on this day. And you'd be like, okay, cool, I can come on that day. Like they didn't, because they're constantly running classes. They didn't care. So they were like, yeah, as long as you do your 10 hours, or is it 20 hours, whatever. Oh Lord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't remember. No, I don't remember. Is it 20? It's 20. It's 20. It was 20 hours in class. I'm almost certain. And they were very, very like permissive about it. As long as you did it, they were happy. Permissive about scheduling and like when, like they were accommodating to getting you to do these classes. Loved it. Took me 2.5 months to get the instructor I was assigned for driving to respond to me. This is after texting him. I gave up on him after 2 months because he was like, I have to look at the schedule, blah, 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 blah. And then when I called the school, they're like, he's just really busy. And I'm like, okay, well, it's been 2.5 months. I took time off work to deal with like being able to do this. If I have to wait more now, I have to reschedule around my work to do this now because I can't take the time off anymore. Like, and I'm supposed to complete this within a year. I'd rather not be doing my lessons in snow because winter is coming. Can we, like, is he available? And I was like, no. You know what? Let me just switch instructors. Who else is available? And they gave me another instructor. Oh, she's a dear. I love her so much. She has taught me really, 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 really well. I'm hesitant to say names because like people may not want other people to know where they work. So text me if you really want to know, if you're thinking of it, like who I learned from, so I can tell you. Text me on Retrospect Station on Instagram or personally. If you know me personally and you know my Instagram personally at AstroAlex34, please text me there. But yeah, she taught me so much and so well and so quickly. 10 hours of driving, and I felt ready. It took me a couple months to get through them. No, more than that, maybe. Actually, we took a break in December and started back up in like April, May, basically. This took us like a 6-month process, but it was worth it. I get through my 10 hours. I get my certificate for the insurance companies later on. Now that's all that's left to do is to do what's called the G2 exit test, G2 exit test, because you're exiting G1 and going into G2, and that requires you to drive on the roads. So, I had to book the test and so on and whatever. Which I did. I was kind of nervous for it. I had not practiced outside of that, of my lessons, my 10 hours of lessons. And that was problematic. For reasons I won't get into, wasn't able to practice on the family car. Should I have been practicing on the family car? Si, oui, yes. But was that Was that attainable? No, it was not. So, I went for my test. It was a rainy day, it was that day. I got to the driving center, I did. We drove around to practice elsewhere before we did. Went up to the drive test center kiosk, I did. Put in all the information, she did. Sat inside the car and waited for the instructor, we did. After a while, the examiner comes up to us, he did. Does a little pilot check around the car for us, he did. She gets out, goes to find coffee and water, she did. I have suddenly gone into being a Cockney British man, I have. We get into the car. We go to drive out and exit the drive test center, we did. We turned left, we did. Drove down the road, we did. He gets me to turn left at a certain street, he did. Drove down some more, we did. I'm going to continue on with this, I am. Drive down some more to a specific left turn, we did. And I'll be honest with you, not very happy at the examiner I wasn't. Because the damn bloody man wouldn't give me the instructions beforehand. He was giving them to me at basically the last 15 seconds, he did. So I didn't really have much time to adapt, I didn't. I didn't really know what fricking lane I was supposed to be in, I didn't. So when the man told me turn left here, I didn't really know where the fuck the left turn was going, I didn't. And let me tell you where he had me turn left. Sorry, let me tell you where he had me turn left, I did. Not turn left. It's a really concealed passageway. Like, from the main road turning left, you don't know where it is, even if you know it's there, until you're upon it. Boom, bang, there it is. And I'm a new driver on wet roads because it was a rainy day, it was. I get into the left turn lane, I did. Put on the blinkers, I did. Go to turn the car left, I did. Coming down a bit of an angle on an incline, I was. Took the turn a little too fast because brakes don't work the same way in wet weather, they don't. So I drove through the left turn lane, pressed the brakes, turned the wheel. The turn speed, two things were wrong with it. One, the turn speed probably could have been fine for a dry road. Were it not for the fact that I didn't know where the bloody fucking intersection was. Because it's hard to see. It literally blends in with the entire sidewalk. They didn't even make it distinct. They put a median in it as well. The whole thing looks like sidewalk until it's directly to the side of you. I don't know who designed that. I want to hit them. So I come down, and by the time I actually can see where the intersection to go into is, it's next to me. Like, I am going to have to make a sharp 90-degree angle turn into this thing at this point, because where the hell was it? And I'm still coming with speed because the bloody examiner told me 10 seconds before, turn left there. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going. I didn't drive here before. That's the point. So, in a normal scenario, if someone says, turn left there, and you don't have enough time, you would drive past, turn around, and come back. That's not an option here. You don't get the points. So I tried to turn. Silly me. The car became a slip and slide. And I turned left very sharply, and the car did not cooperate because the road was wet. Well, now, the car slid, And the passenger side front wheel just lightly, maybe bitch slapped the curb. it just kind of into the curb. Didn't hit the actual car on the curb. Hit the front passenger tire on the curb. And and we slid too. It wasn't like I just like turned wrong. We slid. That was why I hit the curb. And I was like mortified. I'd never been in any form of accident up until that point. So I broke the seal on it. Oh God, where is there wood? I don't want to be in any more. Knock on paper. I have to knock 3 times. Okay, cool. Oh, wait, is this wood? No, it's vinyl. So we slid, and like I very quickly fixed myself. He was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But I was like immediately horribly shaken. And as soon as I did that turn, I was like, "Well, I'm not passing today. I know that. There is no passing happening today. Me pass? Who? What are you talking about?" So I straightened up the car, kind of get into the intersection, and I was like, and he's like, "Do you need to stop for a moment? Let's just take a stop here. You can like recollect." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, just do a roadside stop here." So I did a roadside stop, calm. He's like, "You okay? You still driving?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay." Which was true. I could. I was just extraordinarily shaken. Like I would have been able to drive somewhere with a bit of a breather, but I definitely would not have been able to pass a test, for example. Not that I was passing that test to begin with. Let's be really honest. So he doesn't do much testing on me. He takes me around like, do a roadside stop, do a 3-point turn, go back, turn around, go back, come through the thingy, go over there, do a reverse park, which I, for the life of me, still cannot do it on an incline. So... And it's a bit of an incline and a narrow, whatever. I'll figure it out eventually. I still have some extraneous lessons to use up. So, yeah, he took me back there and he said, so unfortunately you did not pass, you did not meet ministry standards and did not pass that left turn. I was like, "Oh no, I know that left turn is the reason I was not going to pass." I knew right away. As soon as that happened, he said, "You're way too fast on that turn." I was like, "Yeah." I just kind of wanted to yell at him and be like, "You can't tell somebody in wet weather to turn here at the last moment. Turn here on the weirdest intersection. Why do you pick this intersection knowing that no one can see it and then still go, turn here?" It's a funny joke. So I was really mad at him. But yeah, so didn't pass that one. My instructor was not too pleased. She was like, "We'll do some more lessons," so on. I go home and immediately demand that I must be allowed to practice on the family car. I don't say that I failed any tests. I don't even say that I went for a test. I'm just like, "Listen, I'm not going to be ready for the test." Because to be fair, that was the truth. I wasn't ready for the test. And that is exactly what happened. I was finally able to kind of practice properly on the family car. And, well, I'm telling you, I have my G2 now, so I passed. But like for real, it did greatly help for me to be able to do that. I would say you do need the practice. Just 10 hours is probably not enough for you. You need the practice with a licensed driver. Find somebody who will be able to facilitate that for you if you're considering. And please practice. Practice on quiet roads. Practice on the quieter main roads. And like work yourself into your confidence. Most of driving is, honest to God, it's confidence. Because if you're confident in your ability to react to things that are happening on the road, you've got driving down. That's it. Because maneuvering the car is easy. It's once you have to do it in response to everybody else around you. Like you can't go too slow for everybody else around you. You can't go too fast. Like if it was just you on the road, you could do whatever the hell you want. It's so easy. But if you have to maintain a certain speed and a certain predictability because the people behind you need to like know what you're doing and they expect you to move a certain way, you're gonna have to do it. And it's that adds the difficulty into driving on the roads if you're learning. So practice is key because you will develop a confidence in your ability to make calls and decisions on what you're doing on the road. And that's where most of the skill of driving actually is. After you've figured that out, that skill itself becomes a muscle memory and you're much better at it as you keep doing it. I say as I've just gotten my G2, but it's true. Like I already feel that muscle memory building in me. Knock on paper again because I don't have wood. So I went back for the test. It was a very nice sunny day and I passed. Easy. The only thing I messed up was the backup parking because he made me park in the same spot. And good Lord, I can back up normally into a parking space, but that one area is bad. So, that is the story of me getting my driver's license. It happened way too late in my life. And to be fair, I'm not even done yet. This is just the G2 and I'm still waiting for it to, like the actual card to show up. I have the paper. I'm in this weird limbo where I have the paper and I'm using my G1 as a photo card ID, like for just my photo. And the two have to go together. And I'm just like in limbo waiting for my actual G2 card. But once I get that, there are new restrictions. Oh, I didn't even mention the G1 restrictions. I did. There are G2 restrictions. For me, I'm not allowed to have any blood alcohol level still. That's it. Oh, sorry. G1 restrictions. I didn't even mention this beforehand, but all the way back at the beginning when I was mentioning G1 restrictions, you're also not allowed to drive on the highway at all. Any highway. None of the freeways either. Not like QEW, which is 80 kilometers. None of them. But with G2, you can. Now you have to. You have to practice driving on the highway. So get ready, people. It's me. I'm heading on the QEW now. I'll take some time. I'm legally not allowed to go do the exit test to get my G license until a year from now. So that's 1 year of hell for all of you on the road. But no, I'm going to practice. I have extraneous lessons that I'm going to use to practice highway driving and other things. And then, a year from now, I guess I have to do my G whenever the hell that happens. Who knows what'll happen by then? I shouldn't say it that way. Knock on wood. Gods protect me, please. I can't handle any more failing this damn bloody test. I only did it once and I was like, this is the worst. So I got my G2 and I'm going to practice to get my G. Now my restrictions are just I can't have a blood alcohol level. That's it. That's the whole restriction. If you're a teenager, you have other restrictions, which is you're not allowed to drive. And teen means up to 19 years old, by the way. You're not allowed to drive between midnight and 5 a.m. with more than one passenger for 6 months. And then the other 6 months, you're not allowed to drive with more than 3 passengers between midnight and 5 a.m. Unless they are your immediate family members, in which case there is an exception. Because obviously if you have to drive your sibling home from something, you should be able to. So, or your parent. Oh, and also those passengers cannot be under the age of 19. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Basically, you and a bunch of teens can't go out and do raucous nonsense. That's the goal of that law. But for me, that's not the case because I'm way past teenager now. So like 10 years past teenager, high school era. So definitely I'm fine. But that was the experience of me getting my driver's license. I am so happy I can finally say out loud to people I failed the first time I did the test. I was sitting on that for a while saying I'm not going to tell people this until I've actually passed the test. I told my best friend because she knew that I was doing my driving test. So I had to. I had to tell her, like, hey, it didn't go well. I didn't tell my parent. I have two. I should knock on wood for that too. I didn't tell my parents that happened. Actually, I didn't even tell my dad that happened. I just told my mom until I passed the second time. And I was like, hey, by the way, did you know that I actually failed the first one? But now that it's over, and I'm very happy and I'm proud of myself. So, yay. I know a friend of mine who is about to start the process of like figuring out how to drive. Very proud of him. I think he'll do fine. He's a if you who are listening to this, because I know every now and again you listen to it, you will do fine. I actually have faith in you because for what it's worth, the kind of person you are is that you are good at following instructions as long as you have understood the instructions. And with driving, a lot of it is very black and white, cut and dry, like what to do. A lot of it's not, because you are kind of navigating other people's actions, which can be weird. But there are quite a few cut and dry rules that kind of constitute the technique of how to drive effectively. And if you follow them, because those techniques exist to mitigate damage. If you follow them, 99% of the time you will be fine. The 1% of the time is like some jackass doesn't follow the rules and you're going to have to accommodate that in a way that prevents an accident. And you're taught that. So you'll do fine. Anybody else who's trying to learn how to drive, I promise you'll do fine. I failed. And today I am confident I actually can drive. And I'm not someone who has a lot of overconfidence in myself. I actually have a problem where I have an underconfidence in my abilities most of the time. So yeah, you can do it. It's okay. I promise. It's easier than it seems. The hardest part is the confidence of knowing what decisions to make. If you struggle with that and you don't have someone who can teach you that, lesson is go to driving school. As long as you can afford it. I hope you can. Attention all passengers. We interrupt the segment to bring you a special announcement. Literacy is at an all-time low these days for reasons mainly outside of our control, so I figured what better way to do my part than with a word of the week. This week's word is detrimental, and Merriam-Webster has two definitions. I actually didn't know that there was a second definition. So, but you're going to learn it. There are two definitions. One is an adjective, one is a noun. An adjective describes something, a noun is something. There we go, clear. Detrimental is spelled D-E-T-R-I-M-E-N-T-A-L. Detrimental. And Merriam-Webster defines the first definition of an adjective as an adjective. Detrimental means obviously harmful or damaging. Like, for say, an example sentence of that would be, my capacity for left turns is detrimental to any car I may drive in. But the second definition is, again, detrimental, noun, an undesirable or harmful person or thing. So, a detrimental, but like somebody being a detrimental, which is odd. I've never heard it used that way, but you know, there's a first to learn everything, even for me. I guess an example sentence of that would be, Doug Ford is the most relevant detrimental in my life and many people's lives. Detrimental. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Oh, I suppose I should use this opportunity to also vent my thoughts out into the air. There are a lot of things that our tax dollars fund, our tax money that we all pay collectively into society so that we all can have a robust and well-built society that we all can share. You notice I'm saying we all a lot? Like, this is to reiterate when you go, I don't want my tax dollars going towards that. Buddy, you live in a society. You're not an individual that lives in a vacuum. I don't give a shit if you don't want your tax dollars going towards children's education or some shit. They're a children's society. Deal with it. They need an education. Like, so similarly, consequently, there's a lot of stuff that our tax dollars go towards. Again, I've already sworn in this episode, so I'm not going to care about explicit language here. For what it's worth, a lot of the things we spend our money on is bullshit, because a lot of it isn't funding society. A lot of it is funding a very small segment of society. Oh boy. I'm real excited for you to hear next week's episode. Or, you know what? Whatever. Screw the weeks for this iteration. The next episode, maybe plural, because I don't know if I have to split it. Because boy, oh boy, does it touch on that a lot. Yeah, no, for what it's worth, a lot of what we spend our tax money on as a province is bullshit and doesn't at all go towards any person in common society. And I'm not talking about education grants or educational spending. I'm literally talking about paying our MPs way too fucking much. Specifically Doug Ford. Specifically the bullshit Doug Ford gets up to. Specifically the Therma Spa. The Therma Ontario Place Spa. The Therma Science Center contract. The fucking Greenbelt contract. Why are we funding private development that none of us are going to live in? How? So when I say that there is a lot of what our tax dollars go to is bullshit, I mean it. I'm not saying this without purpose. I went to driving school for $1,200. The amount of spending per person for the Ontario Place Therma Spa deal is more than that. Just so we're clear, per person, you are spending more than that. Plus the Greenbelt deals that are private developments. Plus the new version of the Ontario Science Centre built by Therma, which we don't fucking need. We can just open the old building and fix it for cheaper. All of that is to say, all of the private development and private corporation projects that for some inexplicable reason our tax money is funding, even though we have no stake in it once it's complete. Per person, the spending on that is substantially more than what it would take to send someone through driving school. And with the amount of bullshit driving we have right now on the roads in Ontario because of a lot of, and this is not meant to be anti-immigrant, I promise, but because, bear with me, because of all the new international additions to the community we have. And I say it that way because driving school is not mandated. So regardless of where you come from in the world, if you're coming to Ontario, to Canada, and the driving rules from where you're from are substantially different, and the driving etiquette is substantially different in Ontario than where you're from, it takes a lot, no matter where you're from in the world, and no matter where you're going to in the world, it takes a lot out of you to adapt to a brand new driving etiquette in wherever the world you're going to. If I was going from here to, say, India, driving etiquette in India is substantially different. The communication styles, the expectations between one another on the road, the social faux pas, what's considered okay, what's not considered okay, what's a thing you can break, what's a thing you can't break. Not just the laws, but like how those laws shape, shift, and bend on the road is substantially different. And mind you, it's not bad. The roads work about as well as ours do. They're just as chaotic. They're just as clogged, whatever, in a different format. But for me to adapt to that would be a huge shift. So just as much as us going there would be a huge shift, them coming here is a huge shift in drivership. So we get people who are so acclimatized to their style of driving that, like any type of change, it's hard for them to now shift that style of driving to accommodate to our etiquettes here on the road. So we're seeing a lot of weird weaving and random nonsense, people driving backwards on the freaking road, people driving against traffic on the road, because in some places where there is space, there is time. And a lot of the other types of rules don't matter as much as that. And here, there's a really stringent, like, directional set of rules. You go this way, you go that way. Like, we're really about the geometry of our roadways. And because everyone holds that expectation, when someone breaks that expectation, it's dangerous. We are seeing a lot more of that. Honest to God, probably because a lot of these people either don't know or don't care. I say fuck the thermospa. Make driver's ed mandatory, but also make it state subsidized, like province subsidized. It should be subsidized the way that education is subsidized for children. This is such a critical piece of our lives. It defines every single waking moment, transit. Either you are a pedestrian, a cyclist, or more likely, a driver. In fact, statistically, you are far more likely to be a driver in your life than a pedestrian. So, how is it we're not funding this? How is it we're still allowing people to just sit with God knows who is licensed and teach them? Because you may get some good ones, but you're going to get lots of bad ones. And there's no way to catch them until they do something wrong on the road, potentially kill someone or injure someone. And then they maybe get arrested because God knows our cop system is fucked up. So I strongly advocate that driver's ed be mandatory and be taxpayer funded instead of us funding a private spa, because people are going to hear taxpayer. Some people hear tax paid and go, oh, it can be more expensive. Our taxes are going to go up. No, they're not. Instead of it going towards private development that we don't get to benefit from socially, because we're not going to be able to use this as a public service, the therma spa. We take our tax money and fund driver's ed. We take our tax money and fund certain licensings that are a mandatory part of, or if not mandatory, an unavoidable part of daily life in society for pretty much the entire population of the province. Almost everybody drives. I advocate for trains. I advocate for buses. But let's be realistic. For right now, driving is kind of where it's at. Our roads are built for that. And until we severely do an overhaul of our architecture, it's going to be like that for a while. We're probably going to find cars that are cleaner built and burn different type, like that don't burn energy as badly and don't cause waste as badly. And as we transition our roads to transit ways, which will take a lot of time and a lot of pushing and a lot of advocacy, in the meantime, driving is the dominant way of transportation, especially for long distances. It should be subsidized to be educated how to drive. I should not be fearing that the driver in front of me was educated by their uncle who doesn't give half a shit, is really dismissive, and throws caution to the wind, and teaches this person in front of me to do the same and to be a little loose and dismissive with how rules should work and how safety should work. And then they act foolishly on the road, and now I'm in danger because of their stupidity. I shouldn't have to worry about that. I should be able to be confident that everybody on this road knows what the fuck they are doing. And honestly, anytime I've been in the car with an educated driver, like a professionally educated driver, it's a starkly different ride than somebody who's not being professionally educated in a school. Every single time, because it instills in you the right personality for driving. It teaches you how to put your ego aside when you drive. That is a requirement to not kill someone on the road. We would benefit from province subsidized, tax subsidized, mandatory driving school until such time that we can reconfigure our transit and make it public transit that's robust and socialized and super duper effective and efficient and timely. Until then, please, I do not want to have to worry about somebody driving headlong backwards at me down the fucking exit ramp of the highway. Okay? Cool? Great. That's all for this episode. I had to get that out of my system. That's all for this episode, because they're the people I fear the most. If you like what you hear on the podcast, please consider donating $2 or something or other to me on coffee.com/retrospect station. That's ko-fi.com/retrospect station. I don't have money, my people. I'm real serious with you here. Like, I genuinely don't. I am scrounging my dollars for like food and laundry and like bus tickets to be able to actually come to the library and use the equipment to make this show, which I actually need to do. Please help me. I would greatly appreciate it. The other thing that I would recommend too, if you can't like actually give money, please share this. I'm nicely asking, please. Please share this. Because as it exists still on Spotify, YouTube, mainly YouTube. I mean, Spotify, blah, but YouTube, yes. Subscribership and subsequently channel growth and views opens the capacity for ad revenue. In which case, I would not have to be asking people to pay me. I can just let the advertising overlords pay me, and the wealthy's money can trickle back into the economy somehow, mainly into me and my economy, so I can have no debt. Please, thank you. So if not donating, give this podcast to someone you love and tell them to do the same. I would appreciate that more than anything, I think. But yeah, if you want to follow as always, if you want to follow the show online, you can go to @Retrospect Station on either Instagram or TikTok. If you want to follow what I do online, you can go to either @AstroAlex34 on Instagram or TikTok. That's all for this episode. I will see you in the next one. Toodles! Bye-bye. I'll see you on the roads as well, too.
Special thanks to the Mississauga Library Makerspace of Hazel McCallion Library. Without their resources, this show would not be possible.
Why do I end some of these and begin some of these like I'm a feral goblin?